Hello and welcome back to the Puncher's Chance podcast, and welcome to the preview show where we're having a look forward to Moses Itauma versus Dillian Whyte and the rest of that Riyadh season card. As well as that, we're going to be talking about Boxer's new deal with BBC, all that exciting stuff. So subscribe and stick around for podcasts every week. But unlike normal, just before the action, we would like to say our deepest condolences with Shigetoshi Katari and Hiromasa Uwakawa and all the families and fighters involved in that card. Sadly, both fighters lost their lives after fighting just last weekend. I think it's a harsh, stark reminder of the danger of the sport that we love, and obviously we try and be as respectful to those guys for the rest of the podcast. But without further ado, of course, we do have a big card, a big fight, a big test for Moses Itauma. Some people are calling him. Ben's going to be disappointed he's not here for this because he's been calling him the next big thing. How much are we looking forward to that one?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an interesting fight. You talk about Ben, the hype train at the moment with Moses Itauma. I feel like a lot of people on that hype train are either driving it or they're in first class sipping champagne. You know what I get? Some people are getting the standard seats. They're still not really, is he really the real deal? But like you said, Ben's really high on Moses Itauma. I can see why. It's a big test for him. There's a lot of question marks going into this fight that I hope gets answered. But yeah, it's a very interesting fight. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, is that this is actually what people are hoping is, this is the answer to all the questions. With this will be the fight in which afterwards we know whether Moses Itauma is the real deal or whether or not he might not be quite as good as people have sort of putting him as being, or giving him the credit for. To use the hype train analogy, I think I'm on the train, but when you're on the train and you have a moment where you wonder whether or not you're on the right train, maybe go past the wrong station, you think, am I on the right train here? That's how I'm feeling about it at the moment.
And you stood up as well, you haven't got a seat.
Yeah, I want to believe he's the right one, and I think he's the guy, but like you said, I'm waiting for this performance to see it. And like when you look at Dillian Whyte, he's looking sharp, he's looking in as good a shape as we've seen him in a long while. I think he's minded to try and spoil the party a little bit, isn't he?
That's something. He's probably looking at this and everyone's probably sort of written him off, and he's probably taking it like, what are you doing? I fought Anthony Joshua when this kid was like 11, 12, 10 even. Dillian Whyte's taking this fight very seriously. He hasn't had a big fight in a very long time. His last big fight, was Tyson Fury at Wembley Stadium, and he didn't have the best of outings there. And listen, Dillian, he looks good, I'll give you that, but he needs to be miles better. He has to be miles better from what he looked in Gibraltar against Ebenezer Tete, because Ebenezer Tete was not good that night. So was Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte didn't even get the stoppage. He retired, and and then when you look at like the Fraser Clark, takes him out in one round. So there's levels obviously different here, but yeah, I just think Dillian Whyte, he's in great shape because he's looking at this fight as people have already written him off. And I don't think Dillian Whyte's the sort of character that accepts that. He's the sort of character that wants to prove people wrong. And he could do on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think his application's been wrong in the last sort of three fights definitely. Or so. And he's just been going through the paces and working his way back. And this is the first fight where there is a real test and a real doubt on his character and his ability. And let's be real, rightly or wrongly, Moses Itauma is going into this the favourite in almost everyone's eyes, and like you say, I think Whyte's got the bit between his teeth with that. But why does Moses Itauma go into this the absolute favourite? I think because he has shown absolute elite forward punching, attacking boxing. In terms of throwing punches, knocking people out, stopping people, he is elite. He's up there with the very best in the sport. The footwork, phenomenal. But it is that sense of we haven't seen him clipped. We haven't seen him caught. And part of that is because of his ability to move around. He moves like a middleweight and hits like a super heavyweight. But, I think, is that really the question we're all looking to be answered? Whether or not Moses Itauma has the chin to compete in the heavyweight division, or if it's going to be more of a sort of Amir Khan type situation where they've got the ability, but every time they get caught with something, you worry.
And the other thing as well, we haven't seen Moses Itauma go very far in his professional career so far. I think it's like 25 rounds he's fought or something like that.
Let's have a look at the
crazy.
Second round, first round, second round, second round, first round, first round, first round, first round, went the distance, first round. So
easy.
Apart from 2 6-rounders, he stopped everyone in the opening 2.
The game plan from Dillian Whyte has to be survive the first 6 rounds. And then after that, game on, I feel like, because his stamina hasn't been tested. And the one thing I want to see in this fight, as much as I want, you can see, it's easy to call it, I think, Moses Itauma, blah, blah, blah. But what I want to see is Moses Itauma's chin get tested. I want a big right hand landed from Dillian Whyte just to see if he can take it. Because imagine now, we're talking the first bell goes, Moses Itauma comes running out, and he is guilty of this, leaving his chin open at sometimes when he lands those big shots that he's landing, and Dillian Whyte lands an absolute massive right hand and he gets dropped. It's a bit brutal from me, but I just want to see him sort of react from it, because I don't want to leave this fight on Saturday night with still the question marks of, is he really the next big thing? Because I want him to get into those deep waters, biting down on his gum shield, just to see if he can do it. And I feel like Dillian Whyte's a perfect opponent from that, because I can't see it being an early stoppage. I can see it going long and Moses Itauma getting tested.
Yeah, I do think it's good matchmaking. I think it makes sense for Itauma at this point in his career. I disagree in the sense of, you say he leaves his chin open. I think
he is guilty sometimes.
But I think the only reason for that is because he is so much quicker. He knows he'll beat the man to the shot, and I think that will be the same with Dillian Whyte. If the two of them throw the punch at the same time, Moses Itauma is going to be the one that lands first. His speed is next level. He in the way that Usyk is able to move around a heavyweight in a way that they're not used to. Moses Itauma does the same thing. He has that, he's not the biggest heavyweight, but he hits like he is. It's this strange sort of...
Like you said, super heavyweight power. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I don't necessarily think he leaves his chin open. I just think he knows that if he can beat him to the shot and it's the right shot, then, it's the end of the night anyway. So... But there is a degree of risk in that.
You said that man's name, Alexander Usyk. Now, there's a lot of talk. Everyone's sort of saying... Turki Al-Sheikh's even said, chuck Moses Itauma in with Alexander Usyk. Let's see what he can do against him after this fight if he gets through it. But I want to say this is a WBA ranking sort of fight, with Moses Itauma ranked number 2, Joseph Parker ranked number 1 in like the mandatory sort of rankings there. It's interesting because lots of people are calling for Moses Itauma as the next big thing, which I can agree with in some aspect. I can't see him. If he gets through Dillian Whyte on Saturday night, I can't see him stepping in against Alexander Usyk next. He doesn't deserve it, because the man above him deserves it in Joseph Parker. But I don't think Joseph Parker gets Alexander Usyk next, because I feel like money talks in the heavyweight division and in sport in general. So I think Usyk goes somewhere else. But Joseph Parker, Moses Itauma could be a massive fight. And then you flip that on the other side of the argument. Dillian Whyte's looking at it and thinking, well, I've already beaten Joseph Parker. I want to if we have the rematch, happy days, it'll be 2-0. And then you go on to fight, Alexander Usyk. But no, it's an interesting fight. I just hope that it isn't over within 4 rounds. Because spoil you, Ben's called it within 4 rounds. I hope it doesn't happen like that. 1, because you're paying 20 quid to watch it. And 2, you still leave there going, okay. But who's going to test him then? Yeah,
but I suppose, I think maybe if he does do it again within 4, you start to look at it as, okay, are we actually going to bother seeing him tested, or is it just
how good he is?
He is that level. I think if he gets through Dillian Whyte, which I do, to not give away my complete prediction, I do expect him to. I think there are other great fights between him and that Usyk fight. Not only do obviously Kabiel, Parker, etc., even arguably people like Fabio Wardley probably deserve that opportunity before Moses Itauma does. I don't think necessarily Fabio Wardley will get that one, but those guys probably deserve it first. But I also think for Itauma, the likes of the Adeleye Hrgovic winner, the likes of Martin Bacoli, the likes of Jarrell Miller, I know, to use a swear word on the channel.
Andrew Ruiz.
People
I'll say
like
it quietly. I'm not saying it. Anthony Joshua. Imagine that.
I mean, those are tests that would certainly represent something he needs before Alexander Usyk, if he is ever going to get to Alexander Usyk's level. If we're ever going to see someone in the next 5-10 years get to Alexander Usyk's level, I don't know. But I just think, yeah, that let's not get too carried away with that one. We'll obviously wait for our predictions till the end, but in the meantime, we've obviously got the rest of the card to look at as well. Nick Ball fighting Sam Goodman in a good fight, that is, I think. Both fighters undefeated.
Somebody's always got to go.
Nick Ball should be obviously 23-0 in our eyes, and Sam Goodman's not been defeated either. This is two of the top fighters in their division having it out, and I think it should be a really good fight.
Yeah, I agree. When you look at this card, top to bottom, I highlighted this downstairs before we came and recorded it. This fight's got all the sort of the ingredients to be a great fight, but it's also a fight where you're looking at it and you're going, Sam Goodman, that's a name that we've heard a lot of, but we haven't seen him in action quite a lot, because he was meant to fight Naoya Inoue, wasn't he? You know, twice, in Japan. Twice. I think one of them was an eye problem. Some injuries. So he's coming into this fight looking at it going, this is my biggest fight of my career. But then on the other hand, Nick Ball's looking at it and going, this is like my sort of, if I get through Sam Goodman, then look at that. This is the next sort of step up then is like a new, it's incredible. But Nick Ball, like you said, in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, he's had some good fortune there. Apart from that Ray Vargas fight, he beat Ray Ford in a very close fight. In a way as well, he silenced a lot of people that night when he beat Ray Ford, because a lot of people didn't think he was going to get through it, but he did. And yeah, it's an interesting fight. It's second against third in the division. Yeah, Nick Ball's flying at the moment as well. His great stoppage win. Well, was there a stoppage, or did TJ Doheny retire, after getting kicked and all
same
of that?
difference, I think.
So, yeah, it's an interesting fight, but I think, looking at the card, that's the fight that I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, it's difficult because I think, Nick Ball also, first and foremost, is our only male world champion here in Britain.
You say that, I've got a stat.
I believe, isn't he? He is still. I'm not being.
No,
if you don't include the IBO, so
male.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I said male. Don't worry, I'm making sure. I'm an ally. We're good. But yeah, no, I think Nick Ball is the best we've got in terms of male fighters at the moment, and Sam Goodman represents a test. But I feel with Nick Ball, there are special fights and special nights ahead for him. I don't think the best nights of his career are yet to come, and this is just another one on the journey, I hope, and I think that's why, because that Inoue fight, people talk about it, is an unbelievable fight. And
at Anfield.
Perhaps we're going to see Naoya Inoue versus Junto Nakatani first, now that he's moved up to super bantamweight, which is in itself probably one of the best fights in world boxing. But Nick Ball Inoue would still be fireworks.
Yeah, and talking about a stat and a fact, I don't know if you know him, Tiats on Twitter, boxer news writer.
Yes, yeah. Tomington, is it?
Yeah, I don't know his real name. It just got Tiats. He's put out a tweet. Nick Ball needs to defeat Sam Goodman on Saturday night to make sure Great Britain's 37-year record of having a male world boxing champion continues. We've had a world champion since 1988 in boxing. British.
Yeah.
So if Nick Ball doesn't get the job done,
no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure to him, but sort of in a way, British boxing's looking at this fight going, Nick Ball, you need to win this, mate, because otherwise we have no male world champions.
Yeah, at that point we've only got interims in Callum Smith and Galal Yafai off the top of my head, which is in itself not great. But I get the sense, albeit Goodman's a quality operator. I think Nick Ball should and does go into this one the favourite. Based off of just who he's beat in his division and the wins he's had up to this point.
And how he's won as well. Yeah.
And Ray Ford, you mentioned it as well. Ray Ford is fighting on this card. Off the top of my head, I can't remember who he was supposed to be fighting that's now been cancelled.
Kakachi, was it? Or have I got that wrong? No.
I can't remember actually, but he's fighting Abraham Nova now. I can't believe I forgot that. I'm sorry, I've had a long weekend. I was
drinking in Dublin. He was going to lie then. So allegedly drinking.
But Abraham Nova is if nothing else, fun. The beard, the blonde beard. But I think Ray Ford
as well.
He's again another one that's now he's moved up. He's looking good. He's impressing. He's putting in the right kinds of performances. I think we'll see Ray Ford fighting right at the top for another world title some point soon. In my eyes, when he gets through. Abraham Nova.
It was Kakachi.
Yeah. I mean, that is
great fight.
Frustrating we're not getting that fight
Great fight that would have been.
In all honesty. But yeah, I don't mind this one as a replacement.
No, it's decent. And, Abraham Nova, he's a character, ain't he? So it should be a decent one.
He's been in about the level, hasn't he? He's not like he's a complete outsider. He's been in and around the level. He's going to have had world title fight or fought world title challengers and world title winners. So it's a fight you need to be winning if you're going to stay at the very top, which I think Ray Ford and Matchroom certainly hope he is going to be. And then the fight that nobody asked for this fight. No one predicted this fight. No one saw this fight coming. There is no one, including I think these two fighters, that would have had this on their bingo card for fights they were going to have this year. But Filip Hrgovic versus David Adeleye. We know Turkey loves his heavyweights. It's another heavyweight clash. Filip Hrgovic, a man you rated in the top 10 heavyweights in the world. David Adeleye, a man who stuck it on me when I interviewed him.
Very fortunate as well, I would like to add, to David Adeleye, because that Jamie TKV fight was obviously a little bit controversial with the referee shouting break, and then obviously the stoppage came after that. Like you said, it wasn't a heavyweight fight that we expected to see, but in a way, the heavyweight division at the moment is in a little bit of like a standstill. No one really knows what to do next, who to fight next, and I feel like Filip Hrgovic is at that point in his career where he can't be waiting around, so he's just taking a fight year. And David Adeley's probably, I don't know how fighters get told that they're fighting. He probably had a phone call or something. I'm having a fax machine message and all that. Yeah. Am I fighting TKV, the rematch for the British title? Am I fighting him next? No. You're fighting Filip Hrgovic in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And he probably put the phone down straight away and just went, they're lying. But it's a fight that we didn't see coming. Am I happy it's happening? Yes, in a way. But am I concerned for David Adeleye in this fight? Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
You think that much?
I feel... Well, the thing with David Adeleye, you look at his last couple of fights, great stoppage win over Solomon Dakers, wasn't it? In Wembley Arena. You were a stone's throw away from it. Literally, you could probably touch the ring from where you were sat, actually. But my only concern is when he had that sort of big fight, that big head-to-head against another heavyweight, was against Fabio Wardley, and look what happened in that fight. So, yeah, there's a little bit of concerns there. He's been sparring with Joe Joyce as well, so there's probably a little bit of insight there. But we all know what happened with Joe Joyce and Filip Hrgovic. So, yeah, it's an interesting fight. I don't think it makes sense for David Adeleye to take this fight. I thought waiting around for the TKV rematch would have been probably smarter, but he's got a massive opportunity. What's our YouTube channel called again? The Puncher's Chance. He's got that on Saturday night, but I do think Filip Hrgovic is that level above him.
Wow, I really do. I do disagree. I think Filip Hrgovic.
No, we disagreed. We need Ben back now. We need Ben to be like the referee.
I think he'd be closer to me. I think on this.
Of course
I don't know why, but I just think Hrgovic obviously comes off the back of the only loss of his career being Daniel Dubois, which there is no shame in whatsoever.
Yeah, he did. You look back to that,
and Dubois had to dig deep to get through that performance. There was the earlier rounds where he did absorb a bit of a storm from Filip Hrgovic. But that being said, I think I would have expected a better performance against Joe Joyce from Filip Hrgovic than the one we got, considering the levels or the lack of levels that Joe Joyce has shown since. I think as well, obviously, Fabio Wardley, when he fought David Adeleye, his stock wasn't as high as it is now. And I think that really actually that defeat has aged better than it did at the time. When we look back at it, at the time you thought this is a fight that Adeleye should be well in, and Fabio Wardley's trajectory has continued on past that level. I think Adelaide's got a real shot in this one, and I think that's why they've taken it. If any man knows heavyweight division boxing, it's Frank Warren. Frank Warren would not give David Adeleye to Filip Hrgovic if he hadn't seen something or had not seen something from Hrgovic that he thinks, this makes a good fight. I genuinely think this is a reasonable 50-50 fight. I just think I'm with you that Hrgovic has touched a higher level of the sport, but at that higher level he was defeated.
Yeah, in a way. At the time, yeah. He's been and won at that level before against Zhilei Zhang, but that's got a lot of question marks.
That's aged like milk.
Yeah. Was that win actually a decent win? But no, I like what you said there with Adeleye and Frank Warren. He knows heavyweight boxing better than anyone.
He knows Big Glove.
He does, and he loves a big puncher, and David Adeleye is a big puncher. I just feel like, has he proven himself at British level, David Adeleye?
Yeah, I mean, he's beaten the English champion in Solomon Dakers, and then...
English champion.
Yeah, the English champion in Solomon Dakers, who then obviously in the next fight had an impressive performance at a level where some people thought he would struggle. And I think Jamie TKV is a decent British level fighter that he, albeit under slightly concerning circumstances, did win that fight. You know, the ref's there to referee it, and within his rules of it, he won that fight. I think David Adeleye is a British level fighter. I think that is his level, and that's the level he's shown up to this point. Whether he'll go beyond that, I don't know. But maybe I just don't think Filip Hrgovic is all that much above British level himself.
No, you don't, because you didn't even have him in your top 20 of heavyweights in the world, probably.
I didn't have him in my top 10.
Lawrence Okoli was in his top 10, by the way. So
yeah,
let's just leave that there, shall we?
But Filip Hrgovic, I don't think...
I feel like this fight's got two ways of... You know, Filip Hrgovic can show his sort of world level that he's been at before, or David Adeleye, sort of the fighter that's hungrier, you know, wants to reach that mountaintop that Filip Hrgovic just about reached. He's had a sniff of it, but then dropped back down. So it's an interesting fight, but I just feel like our predictions are going to be very different.
Maybe
come this fight. So stick around to the end of the podcast to find out. But yeah, it's like, it wasn't a fight I would have had next for David Adeleye after the TKV performance. That's all. No,
I agree. And then beyond that, you got Mo Alakil as well, who we've seen, obviously native of Saudi Arabia, fighting on the card. Under Joe Gallagher again, I like seeing him. I'm interested to see what he can do. I think there's enough of a narrative there that I'm interested in him fighting. And then obviously you've got Tsutsumi as well, who's fighting Kais Ashfaq, who is a decent domestic level fighter. That is a good test for him at that point of his career, I think, and a win in that fight.
10-rounder as well.
Yeah, exactly. A win in that fight, but then puts him in a good stead. So there's plenty to look forward to, albeit maybe not worth parting away with your hard-earned money for. But fortunately, if not for much longer, we have to.
Yes.
Maybe that's just the plan, is get a last one.
What is the first card that they're going to do no pay-per-views? Is it the
November card. Benavidez, Bryan, Norman Jr., Benavidez...
Just
Yard, Sam Noakes, Abdullah Mason.
Just watch though, DAZN subscription cost.
Maybe
rockets up £100 a month.
But you know what? For that card, I'm willing to pay it.
Oh, I would happily pay £25 for that card.
Part way with the kidney for that card. That is a serious one.
Wouldn't go that far, but
maybe not. Speaking of parting way or not parting way, perhaps with money. Before we get onto the predictions of that card on the Boxing News app for the first time in a while. Boxer have officially agreed a deal with BBC, BBC iPlayer and Red Button in a move that, let's say, nobody expected that coming. That came out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
We all kind of knew that was happening. It's been made official now. Where do we stand on it?
Well, listen, I thought, like you said, it was the best kept secret in boxing, this was.
Yeah.
I think we knew for like 2 months, really, they were going to BBC. And then I thought it was weird when they sent the press release over and it had an embargo on it. And you're like, why have you put an embargo on it when literally everyone knows it's coming? But there we go. Last week, we talked a lot about, is it really the best move for Boxer? Is it really the best move for the fighters that are signed with Boxer? But the more I've read into it, the deal, the channel, the sort of documentaries that they're going to be making with the fighters, behind the scenes and all that, free to air, I can only see it being a success. You know, now I can see it as being a success because, let's be honest, back in the day when me and you weren't even born, boxing was on free to air TV. They had millions of viewers. You didn't have to pay to watch some of the big names. And now you don't have to pay to see some of the big names like Ben Whittaker's still in contract, so he's going to be fighting on BBC. Callum Simpson, they're going to love Callum Simpson, BBC are. Lauren Price, she's already fought on BBC before here in Wales, when she fought Jessica McCaskill. I think it's good for Boxer, and you know, fair play to Ben Shalom. He signed, I think it's a 4 fight night deal per year, so they fight, which a little bit like, oh come on, we want to see more. There's room for more pay-per-views though, I think they're going to do as well with another company, so that could maybe be where Sky Sports remains in British boxing, but who knows. But no, it's it was expected that they were going to go to BBC. It should be good. They should get a lot more eyeballs on the sport, which is needed, because literally every single bit of boxing now is behind a paywall. So it's good that we don't have to pay for it. And hopefully it's a success. And as well, hopefully it's a big long-term contract with them, so we can see it on a consistent basis. Because I feel like with Wasserman, it was like the odd fight night we would have free, but then we would only have like the main event. But that's the other thing. I think it's the same as Wasserman. The main event's the only fight that's going to be shown, and everything else is going to be through the iPlayer. But who knows? I'm happy the boxers finally got something done, and I'm hopefully now they can start announcing fights that we can look forward to.
Yeah, I think it was very well said. You've pretty much covered everything.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, not in a bad way.
I get told off for doing that.
It's all right. I don't mind. There's two of us, and I think yeah, all of the above stands. I think, like you say, this represents the only free-to-view boxing deal across the US and the UK on a major network. Obviously, ESPN and Top Rank have now parted ways. No linear television or terrestrial television in this country have a deal with boxing until now with BBC. So in that sense, that's a huge positive. From boxers' point of view, I think for me this represents a bit of a crossroads. It's almost like when a football club gets relegated from the Premier League to the Championship. In the short term, this is a downgrade. I don't know what you're pointing at this for, the Leeds United badge. We are not, but that's maybe one for another day. I think this represents a downgrade from Sky Sports. Of course it is. You know, this isn't the same deal that they had at Sky. That was one of the more lucrative packages in boxing to have that Sky Sports deal. They don't have that now. It is a step backwards, but that doesn't necessarily mean that in the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, this will not benefit boxer and or boxing. You know, there is a chance now to build stars in the limelight. You know, they've already shown a willingness to sign amateur boxers, people from the Olympics, and you know, those are household names in the sense of the likes of BBC and ITV and free-to-view television. And so that natural progression makes sense. I think if they get this right, it will be a really good deal for both boxer, BBC and boxing. But that is an if. They do have to get it right. If they don't get it right, this is an absolute downgrade on Sky unless they get it right. So really exciting times to see that. You know, maybe it's time to start paying my TV license, unofficially speaking. Obviously I pay that.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's not free to air though, is it really? When you actually read into it.
Technically.
What's a TV license nowadays?
Yeah,
170 quid?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Like a design subscription.
But I think, it represents interesting times for that, which I look forward to seeing.
Yeah. Apparently, the rumour is that the first fight is going to be Jamie TKV
Fraser Clark, isn't it? Yeah.
In Birmingham.
Yeah, I mean
September 27th.
It's a good fight.
Yeah.
It's a good fight. I want to see it. I think that's the other thing will be interesting to see is what the whole cards look like, what the main events look like, because you know the money that will come with that deal, it looks like it's going to be difficult to put the likes of Callum Simpson, Ben Whittaker, Adam Azim on cards because of the size of their name, or certainly put them on cards with an undercard that people, you know, are going to get out of bed for, the people that are going to get really excited for. So the way they're going to have to balance that and the spending and the spread across the cards will be interesting. But I hope they do it, because I think I said this before on the podcast and I've said it to a few people that have asked us about it. Boxer have been class to us as a channel.
Incredible.
Like they really have. They've from the first Lauren Price McCaskill fight, from that point onwards when we met them, they've looked after us. And done so in a way that maybe some of the other promotional companies haven't done.
But we actually get to sit down and talk to Ben Shalom, do we?
And he lets us in on secrets about him and his partner's love life. Wow. If you haven't seen that clip, it's a personal favourite of mine.
Sam got kicked out of Tottenham Hotspur Stadium after that question.
I ran out. No,
he's saying all these nice things about Boxer now because he's currently on their sort of list of we're going to not give him accreditation
because I've signed an NDA not to ask Ben about his love antics anymore. No, So I hope the best. I wish the best for Boxer. Yeah. Someone I don't wish the best for is you in our boxing news predictions. Sorry, that was a bit harsh almost.
Keep the punches up.
I know, I left it a moment. I left it just to build attention. People at home, there was a moment, everyone, hearts in their throat. They're going to fall out on the channel. No, we're good. We're in a good way.
That's only offline, that is.
Oh, exactly, yeah. You should see the scraps we have outside.
Yeah. That's why Ben is in here, actually, today.
It's true, he's in hospital. Yeah.
Seen him.
Hit him with a quick one too. While this loading, obviously, Boxing News Predictions app, you can do this alongside us if you care to. We don't have any affiliation with Boxing News, officially speaking, but we like what they do. So, if they want to sponsor us, please do. And if you want to join in alongside us, you're more than welcome to. Hayato Tsutsumi versus Kais Ashfaq, a super featherweight 10-rounder. I'm going to let you kick off the bill here with your predictions.
Knockout. A stoppage, not knockout.
I'm going to go for a Tsutsumi points decision.
Okay.
I think that Kais Ashfaq is going to be a stubborn bugger, to put it nicely.
Likely. Yeah, I like it.
Filip Hrgovic, David Adeleye, heavyweight 10-rounder. This is the one we said we think there's going to be a disagreement on, and I still think there is going to be. I think it's going to be a David Adeleye points decision victory.
Hrgovic points decision victory.
Fair enough.
And I've got two predictions. It could be either a points decision or a very, very late stoppage.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Ray Ford versus Abraham Nova, super featherweight 12-rounder. A Ray Ford points decision, I think, is the obvious, basic, slightly boring answer on that one.
Ray Ford.
Oh, wait, I've gone double there. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to do that.
Comfortable.
Nick Ball, Sam Goodman, featherweight 12-rounder. Prediction?
Ball points decision. But again, I've got a theory here that it can play out like the Filip Hrgovic David Adeleye fight. Nick Ball gets some momentum later on into the fight where Sam Goodman's probably not been at that level before, and he could get a late stoppage.
I'm going for a Nick Ball 10th round stoppage. I'm going to go for the second eventuality that you mentioned. Yeah. Moses Itauma versus Dillian Whyte. This is the big one. 85.79% of people, as the time of recording, have predicted Moses Itauma to knock out or stop Dillian Whyte. Are you one of the 85%?
I am. I do think Itauma will stop Dillian Whyte, but I'm not like Ben. I'm not saying that Moses Itauma will win within 4 rounds. I think Dillian Whyte will ask questions of him, and I feel like this fight has got rounds in it. But I do think that as the fight goes on, Moses Itauma will grow, get stronger, and he will stop Dillian Whyte 9th or 10th round.
Wow.
Not grow, but building confidence. And
be 6'4" by the end of the fight. No, I think that... I think Dillian Whyte's going to be up for this. I think he's going to be fit. I think his conditioning is going to be on right, and he's not going to be quite as slow as we've seen him in his recent performances. I think Moses Itauma is going to wipe the floor with Dillian Whyte, but I don't think that the referee's going to be wiping the floor with Dillian Whyte, because I think it's going to be a points decision victory.
So the first time in his career he's going to be going past 6 rounds.
Correct.
And going the distance. Okay, I like it.
I think he will. I think it's going to be a meaningful test for Moses Itauma, and I think we're going to come out of this and go, yeah, Moses Itauma is the real deal. I think he might put Whyte on the floor at one point. He's certainly going to land it. He's going to take some shots, but I do think it will go the distance. And I think in many ways that will serve to put him in better stead in people's eyes than an early stoppage, like you said. Like, that's not what we want to see.
No, Ben's boring. Ben just wants a quick night so he can get to sleep, because he's at that age where he needs early nights.
He does, yeah. He's got a little hot water bottle at the end of his bed.
Do you know something that we forgot to talk about? Well,
the episode's not over yet. We haven't forgot just yet.
We haven't forgot, but we were going to end the episode there, I think. There's a big show on here in Wales.
There is.
For our Welsh listeners out there, watchers, Neath, I think, is the destination to be this weekend. Neath Sports Centre. Willie Gilhaney, Carvel Crocker, 2 undefeated fighters, going for the Welsh middleweight title. Am I right?
Yeah, middleweight
title.
Carvel on the way up, Willie on the way down. Sounds crazy, but that is the way it is.
2-time as well, Willie Gilhaney's looking for. Great fight, great sort of domestic clash here in Wales. Great undercard. Gavin Gwyn's on there as well. There's been a lot of talk of Gavin Gwyn over the weekend. The Stomping Ground Talk Sport doing face-to-faces with them. He's in a 6-rounder, I believe. But yeah, great card down in Neath. I was going to say Swansea then, because they've changed venues. Brought to you by Black Flash, Dan Francis. I won't say what Sam says and all that rubbish. Shout out. He'll kill me if I don't shout him.
He will. I always say that.
It's a great fight. It's a great card, great main event. So if you are Welsh, you're in the South Wales area, go and contact one of the fighters, get along. We've also made a magazine.
I was going to say, there is a lovely magazine with, I might put it up on screen here if I can be bothered. If not, drop us a message on social media.
I'll move over a little bit.
Here we go. On the video version, they're seeing us hold it up right now. It's in my hand. Here we go. That's a beautiful moment.
Could just be Ben's face there now.
Yeah.
You know he's going to put something else.
Drop us a message on social media. There is still a small handful of those on the pre-sale available online before they can be sold at fight night. So, message us, get your hands on it. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Limited print run. About, I think, if I'm not mistaken at the time recording, there's about 12 left of the pre-sale of the 50. So they've been pretty popular, so get your hands on them if you want them.
My phone's been buzzing, so we've got a couple more. So,
have we?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
Just
there you go. There is not many
think
left.
Twice, I think. That's something
maybe don't even think once.
Yeah.
Thoughtless, blindly message us.
And £5 as well was a bargain.
Yeah,
for a magazine programme. How much was a programme at Leeds game on Saturday in Dublin?
It was a tenner.
Oh.
It was a tenner, and it wasn't even A4. The paper quality was average at best, and I didn't make it, which makes it me less likely to want to spend the money on it. All that good stuff. Check out that as well. While we're just shamelessly plugging ourselves. Check out the last podcast we released with myself and Adi Oladipo. There's been a ton of great feedback on it in terms of Ade being, a great guy, and it being an interesting listen to hear his story. So check that out. It's done all right.
It was really, really good. And I love the tease that you put out.
Did I?
With the first aid box, first Ade.
Oh, yeah.
Did you like my tease as well I put out on Twitter?
I don't think I saw it.
Oh.
The algorithm.
Wow.
Stitching us up at the moment.
Wow.
It's transfer deadline,
Yeah.
I'm just constantly refreshing, hoping to see a Fabrizio Romano tweet, here we go, all of that stuff. But in the meantime, obviously, if you're on social media, scrolling, follow us. Or subscribe on YouTube. We're knocking on the door of 1,100 subscribers at the minute. I think this is the only episode as well we got coming out this week once again. So if you like what we've got doing at the moment, next week it will be twice as good, and hopefully pretty much every other week after that. So that pretty much wraps it up for all of that. A massive thank you, nearly as massive as Ben. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you all next week.
Punches chance. Punches Chance Podcast.